I want you to stop what you're doing right now. If you live in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Michigan, or Wisconsin, this video is for you. And I mean that literally. Because right now, as you are watching this, 8 states are dealing with active flood threats simultaneously. 8 states. Not next week, not a forecast. Right now. And the thing that makes this moment different from anything we have covered this month is that this is not one event. This is not one river. This is not one state. What is happening across the American Midwest right now is a cascading, compounding, multi-state flood emergency that has been building layer by layer for weeks. And Monday, April 27th, 2026, just added a catastrophic new chapter on top of everything that was already happening. Let me lay this out clearly because I want you to understand the full scale of what is unfolding. The Great Lakes region has been in a declared flood emergency since April 10th. Michigan has had more than 37 counties under official state emergency declaration. Wisconsin declared a state of emergency on April 15th. Those 2 situations are still active. Recovery operations are still running. And then on Monday, April 27th, a new wave of severe storms tore through the Midwest. Tornado warnings were issued for the St. Louis metro area. Flash flood warnings went out for Montgomery and Fayette counties in Illinois. Pike County, Illinois, and Pike County, Missouri both received flash flood warnings simultaneously. Jersey County, Illinois, was placed under a flash flood warning through 10:30 Monday night. A flash flood advisory was issued for St. Louis City and St. Louis County directly. And then St. Louis police reported flooding in both directions on Interstate 70. Not a flooded side street. Not a residential road. Interstate 70. One of the most heavily traveled highways in the entire country. Flooded in both directions at once. On a Monday evening. During rush hour. That is not a background weather story. That is a breaking emergency, and it gets bigger. Monday's storms knocked out power to more than 260,000 customers across 6 states. 260,000 homes and businesses in the dark. In Indiana alone, 65,000 customers lost power. Michigan, 55,500. Tennessee, 41,300. Ohio, 33,800. Missouri, 27,000. Kentucky, 24,000. Illinois, 10,600. Wisconsin, 8,000, 6 states, 1 storm system, 1 night, and at least 1 person is dead. A fatality was confirmed in Michigan after a tree fell during Monday's storms. 1 family lost someone on Monday night. I want to sit with that for a moment before we move on. Because sometimes in weather coverage, the power outage numbers and the flood gauge readings can make us forget that behind every data point is a real person, a real home, a real family. Let's go to the Mississippi River now, because what is happening there right now is something that the national weather conversation is not giving enough attention to. The Mississippi River was already under flood warning at multiple locations before Monday's storms even arrived. Grafton, Canton, Saverton, Hannibal, Winfield, Clarksville, and Louisiana, Missouri were all under active flood warnings going into Monday. Then Monday dropped 2 to 6 inches of rain across already saturated ground in Missouri and Illinois. The NWS St. Louis office issued flood warnings for multiple Missouri rivers on top of the Mississippi River warnings already in place. The Moreau River near Jefferson City received a flood warning issued at 3:13 a.m. on Tuesday, April 28th. Active this morning. Right now. And here's the forecast that should have everyone along the Mississippi corridor paying attention today. The Mississippi River at St. Louis is expected to rise above flood stage by early Thursday morning. It is forecast to crest at 31.2 feet on Friday morning. Flood stage at St. Louis is 30 feet. At 30 feet, human impact begins. Roads flood, parks flood. Low-lying areas along the riverfront go underwater. The Mississippi River at Chester, downstream from St. Louis, is forecast to crest at 34.5 feet on Saturday morning. Chester's flood stage is 27 feet. That forecast crest is 7.5 feet above flood stage, 7.5 feet above the threshold where flooding begins. The Mississippi River at Clarksville is already sitting at 29 feet as of Tuesday morning. At 29 feet, water enters the parking lot at Clarksville Riverfront Park. The river is there right now, today, and it is not done rising. Now I want to explain something to you about why this flooding threat along the Mississippi corridor is not going to resolve quickly. And it comes down to one concept: soil saturation. The upper Midwest has been absorbing rainfall in round after consecutive round since the beginning of April. Before Monday's storms hit Missouri, the ground across the region was already soaked. Soaked from the Michigan snowmelt and rain event. Soaked from the Wisconsin flooding. soaked from repeated rounds of storms pushing through the Ohio Valley and Mississippi Valley for weeks. When the ground is already saturated and you drop another 2 to 6 inches of rain on it, there is nowhere for that water to go. It does not soak in. It runs off. It runs directly into streams and creeks and rivers. And streams and creeks and rivers that were already running high take that water and push it downstream. That is why flood warnings are now active at gauge after gauge down the length of the Mississippi River. Not because of one storm, because of weeks of accumulated rainfall with no recovery time in between. The river is full. The tributaries are full. The soil is full. And when everything is full at the same time and you add more rain on top of it, the water has only one place to go. Into roads, into parking lots, into homes, into neighborhoods. Now let me connect all of this to the bigger picture because I think it is important that you understand this is not a collection of separate weather events. This is one continuous, interconnected flood crisis that has been moving across the country in stages. It started in Michigan and Wisconsin in mid-April. Those states are still in emergency recovery. Then Monday's storms extended the flood threat into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio simultaneously. And now the Mississippi River is rising from St. Louis, all the way downstream toward Chester and beyond. The NWS Omaha office confirmed as of this week that considerable flooding impacts are ongoing in the upper Great Lakes and expected to continue through the weekend. This week is not a recovery week. This week is another active flood week on top of a month of flood weeks. The NOAA 6 to 10 day outlook calls for near to above normal precipitation across most of the country through early May. More rain on already saturated ground, with rivers already running above flood stage, on top of a Mississippi River that is still rising. That combination is what keeps emergency managers up at night, and it is why I am talking to you right now. Because there are millions of people along the Mississippi corridor, from St. Louis down through Missouri and into Illinois, who are going about their Tuesday thinking Monday's storms are over. They are not watching the river gauges. They are not tracking the forecast crest at Chester on Saturday. They are not thinking about what 31.2 feet at St. Louis means for their town downstream. But you are watching this video. And now you know. So let me make this completely practical because knowing the data does not help anyone unless it translates into action. If you live anywhere along the Mississippi River corridor from St. Louis downstream, this is your week to pay close attention. The river is going to rise through Friday. That crest is coming, and the communities that get hit hardest are always the ones where people assumed the water would not reach them because it had not reached them before. Check your local NWS River forecast today, not next week, today. Find the gauge closest to your location and look at the forecast crest. Compare that crest to the stage impacts listed for that gauge. Those impacts are not abstract. They tell you at what height the roads in your area flood, at what height structures begin taking water, at what height you need to move your vehicle, your valuables, or yourself. That information is free. It is public, and it is updated multiple times per day by the National Weather Service. Use it. Second, if you are in a flood-prone area and you have a basement, check it right now. Not when the river crests. Right now. Water tables across the region are already elevated from weeks of rainfall. Basements that have never flooded before are flooding this spring. And the time to move important items out of your basement is before the water arrives, not after. Third, I need to say this directly to anyone in Missouri or Illinois who is thinking about driving through a flooded road this week. Monday night, Interstate 70 flooded in both directions in St. Louis. A major interstate. Not a county road, not a rural crossing. An interstate. If Interstate 70 can flood in St. Louis, any road can flood anywhere. Flash flooding kills more people in the United States every single year than tornadoes, more than hurricanes, more than lightning, more than any other weather phenomenon. And the vast majority of those deaths happen in vehicles. People who drove into water that looked passable. People who misjudged the depth. People who did not realize that 12 inches of fast-moving water is enough to sweep most cars off the road. If you see water on a road, turn around. Do not test it. Do not inch forward to see how deep it is. Do not decide that your truck is tall enough. Turn around every single time. No exceptions. Fourth, for anyone in Michigan or Wisconsin who is in active recovery from the earlier flooding, I know you are exhausted. I know you have been dealing with this for 2 weeks, but I need you to know that Monday's storms added more rainfall on top of what was already there. Michigan had 500 customers lose power Monday night. The flooding in your state is not fully resolved. The rivers in northern Michigan are still elevated. And more rain on top of saturated ground means your situation needs continued attention, not decreased attention this week. Document your ongoing damage. Stay in contact with your county emergency management office. And if you have not yet filed with FEMA, the number is 1-800-621-3362. That assistance exists for you. But you have to initiate the application. Now let me give you the complete picture of where things stand right now as of Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Michigan, still in flood recovery. More than 37 counties under emergency declaration. American Red Cross still active. 500 customers lost power Monday night. Wisconsin, State Emergency Operations Center still at level 2. Ongoing recovery operations statewide. Missouri, active flood warnings on the Mississippi River at multiple gauges. Moreau River flood warning active. Interstate 70 flooded Monday night. Illinois, active flash flood warnings. Monday, Mississippi River flood warnings in place for multiple communities. Indiana, 65,000 customers without power Monday night from the same storm system. Tennessee, 41,300 customers without power. Ohio, 33,800 customers without power. Kentucky, 24,000 customers without power. That is the map right now. That is what today actually looks like across the American Midwest. And the Mississippi River has not crested yet. It is still rising. Friday is the forecast crest at St. Louis. Saturday is the forecast crest downstream at Chester. The week is not over. The flood event is not over. And the national news cycle has moved on to the next story. That is why this channel exists. I am not moving on. I am going to stay right here, watch every gauge, track every river forecast update, and bring you the information you need to make smart decisions about your safety and the safety of your family. That is the commitment. Every update matters. Every warning matters. Every family that sees this video and takes it seriously before the water arrives, instead of after matters. Share this right now with everyone you know in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. There are people in your life in these states who have no idea the Mississippi River is rising toward their county this week. You can change that in 10 seconds by sending them this video. Do it. I will be back with updates as the Mississippi crests and as new data comes in. Stay with me, stay alert, and stay safe out there.